Hey, here are 5 stupid things I've noticed since last time. Bill O'Reilly shockingly revealed as big fat liar. First Brian Williams and now this? It was bad enough when the guy we trusted turned out to be dishonest, but the guy we all sort of assumed was completely full of shit this entire time? Come on! And of course, O'Reilly isn't in trouble for doing exactly the same thing that Brian Williams did. Williams made up one story, which he repeated several times, about one event. O'Reilly, on the other hand, seems to have habitually lied throughout his career to exaggerate his exploits and depict himself as a tough guy. Another key difference between the two stories, O'Reilly isn't in trouble. Unlike NBC News, which suspended Brian Williams, to date O'Reilly's employer, Fox News, hasn't done shit. Rudy Giuliani shockingly revealed as still a clueless asshole. Former Saturday Night Live host Rudolph Giuliani made headlines recently when he said that he doesn't think President Barack Obama loves America because Obama just wasn't brought up like Giuliani was. Come on, Rudy. I know he watches. Maybe it wasn't Barack's upbringing that's the problem. Maybe it's just that since he's been president, he hasn't had a terrorist attack that killed 3,000 people or 2 wars that killed hundreds of thousands more to cynically and shamelessly exploit for his own personal and political benefit, like you had when you were the mayor of 9/11. So cut him some slack. He's doing the best he can with what he's got. Shatner shockingly catches shit for missing Nimoy's funeral. All right, I'll stop with the shockingly. If you're one of the people who was angry at William Shatner for choosing to appear at a charity event in Florida rather than attend the funeral of Leonard Nimoy, I want to point something out to you. This is a scene from a movie. It's a great scene from a great movie, but that's all it is. Some of you may have really, really wished that a real-life version of this would happen, but it didn't happen. And neither Shatner, nor Nimoy's family, nor anyone else owed it to you to make it happen. People deal with death in their own ways, in all sorts of ways. Sure, maybe Shatner could have blown off the charity gig and flown back to California to attend the funeral, but he didn't, for whatever reason. He doesn't owe you an explanation, and I think it's kind of shitty of you to demand one of him. So there. Transphobic preacher hassles trans girl outside public restroom. Last weekend, Charlotte, North Carolina, as the city council was considering a proposed LGBT non-discrimination ordinance, Christian evangelist Flip Benham confronted a 17-year-old transgender girl as she exited the women's room. Benham said that she was a young man who should not have been using the women's room. He also called her a punk and a pervert. There are 3 things I would like to say to Flip Benham in light of this event. First, fuck you, as if trans teenagers, especially those that live in the goddamn American South, don't have it bad enough without assholes like you getting in their faces over shit that is none of your business. Second, thank you for providing the best possible example of why non-discrimination measures like the one you were there to protest are necessary. And third, fuck you again. Prime Minister of Israel comes to U.S. to sabotage negotiations with Iran. Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, addressed the U.S. Congress last week in an attempt to show up President Obama, undermine ongoing attempts to reach a deal to limit Iran's nuclear program, and imply that if he doesn't like the deal that is ultimately reached, he'll start a war. Secretary of State John Kerry, who is actually involved in the negotiations, pointed out that simply demanding that Iran do what we want it to do is not likely to be very productive, but Netanyahu doesn't care about any of that shit. He ain't the negotiating kind. He's the nuke first, ask questions later if anybody's still alive kind. It's no wonder the Republicans who watched that speech were clapping and hooting like teenagers at a One Direction concert. BB was playing their favorite song. The hardest part is only picking 5. Catch you next time.